The Virtual CISO Podcast. Shorts.
Another question we hear a lot, George, is some variation on, hey, we're currently ISO certified. There was talk about reciprocity. Do we still need to get CMMC certified? If so, how much additional work is it? How much additional cost is it?
Yeah, that's like you said, something that we hear very often. And unfortunately, back in the days, 2 years ago, when we all were looking at CMMC through the lens of version one, reciprocity was a heavy item of discussion. FedRAMP was in the plan, and then ISO. We recently had notification that FedRAMP reciprocity now exists. The ISO is next, right? I'm thinking that probably in the next 6 to 12 months, we'll have more guidance. But as of today, they're not one and the same. They're somewhat completely independent. As you know, John, it all comes down to the scope of applicability and how you build those your ISMS, your Information Security Management System, and also your DoD scope. Are you making them one and the same? And then you can easily or relatively easily maximize on those investments that you've already made for the ISO. But there's going to be some heavy lift in there in identifying your assets, categorizing them correctly, making sure that those data path and data communications are tagged and labeled correctly and start building that scope for CMMC. So yes, this is a very tricky question, right? Because ISO has that store only versus the process and transmit the CUI has. As far as costs go, I probably will say, help me out here, right?
The cost is hard to guess, right? And it also depends on, do you already have your NIST 800-171 stuff in place and we're layering ISO on top of that, or vice versa? Do you have ISO 27001 and now we're just trying to, have ISO, which is a framework for managing frameworks, manage your CUI, framework, your 800-171 CMMC framework at the same time. If you've got a mature environment, you can probably tack this on in the $25,000 to $35,000 range is probably not a bad idea to think about, but it really depends, right? The more, as you said, both of them are scoped certifications. So if the information and scope of ISO is CUI, then that delta is very little. If you're protecting commercial data differently than you're protecting CUI, we might have effectively two enclaves. That's going to be almost two separate projects.